Your dad and I were married 17 years. The last 5 were horrible before the divorce. And then there was, obviously several years, maybe 2 years of separation, and then finally the divorce was final. I thought I was going to be married forever. My thought never ever went to a divorce, and even at the end, when it was so horrible, I tried everything to stay married. I think both you and your sister experienced things a little bit differently, because your sister really had no idea, what was going on behind the scenes, and you unfortunately had the insight that she did not have. So I think you were years ahead of her in preparing for the eventual outcome, the eventual divorce. And I think in the end, and I hope that both of you experienced and learned from the experience, rather, to be strong and to stand up for yourself and to want more for yourself and not just to settle. It was definitely hard for both of you, I'm sure. I think at any age that's tough for kids. But I think that, you both did really, really well. I think having a supportive, rock solid parent is more important than living a lie. Living in a house that was already toxic, just from your dad and I not getting along, what was underlying in our relationship that we were hiding from you guys, mostly from Bailey, especially, not so much you, but we were living a lie. And I think that you both kind of sensed something was wrong, and it wasn't a healthy home life. So in the end, I think it worked out for both of you to be now living a real, authentic life with at least one rock solid parent. I noticed mental health changes in you prior to the divorce, naturally, because you were experiencing things as I was experiencing them. Obviously not in the same way, but in some way you were. So I noticed that in you. You were very withdrawn, more so than normal. Work-wise, schoolwork-wise, I think both of you did pretty much okay. Bailey, I didn't see a problem with her and her behavior until after your dad left. And then she didn't understand what was really going on. She was mad at me for not disclosing what you knew. She felt like I was keeping secrets from her. So her behavior was more reflective of her being angry at me, not really angry at being a child now from a divorced family, a broken family. Prior to the divorce, we never had any financial trouble. Your dad and I worked very, very hard. We paid off our mortgage early. We led a pretty good economic life. Like, the first thing I thought of when I found out that it might not work out, my biggest fear was living on my own and trying to support myself without your dad's help, or only partial help, because the state unfortunately doesn't give you what it costs to really raise children and live on your own. And New Jersey, it's extremely financially, it's a drain. So our lives changed a little bit. We weren't free to make big purchases, go on vacations. I tried for you and your sister to maintain the same kind of life you were used to for the most part. But really, it's tough. A single income as opposed to a 2-income household is definitely a change, big time, and scary. I think I felt like I was a failure, that I couldn't make it work out. that I couldn't make it work out. And I wanted to so badly. Bailey was angry with me. I think that in the end, I think you both have learned that I was stronger and I'm more reliable as a parent now. I think when I was trying to parent you and your sister, when I wasn't feeling good about myself and when I was constantly checking on your dad and his whereabouts, wondering what was happening with him, I was so focused on that part of my life that I couldn't be a good parent. I wasn't being a good parent to you and your sister because I wasn't focused on just you, which is where I should have been focused. I couldn't focus on that. I was so worried about my world falling apart and trying to hold it all together that I wasn't being good at anything, really. In some ways, I wished that I had ended it sooner because it would have caused me less pain, because I went through so much in those 5 years of discovering all these different, communications with him and the other woman. That was so painful to me. Every new discovery was painful, gut-wrenching. I could have ended it a whole lot sooner. But if I had, I think about raising you guys when you were 5-6 years younger than what you were when we finally ended it. And I would have struggled, and you guys would have struggled with that. Raising you is hard. Raising you is hard, but you were pretty much at the end. You were just about to graduate. Bailey only had a couple years to go. But put that 5 or 6 years prior, and that right there would have been, I think, so much more. I think it would have been a lot harder. Bailey, you never wanted to go visit your dad. And Bailey would have been leaving me and not spending as much time with me. We wouldn't have had our closeness that we needed to have.
My ex-wife and I were married 25 years, I believe, or somewhere near there. So, both her parents have been, my mom's been divorced 5 times, her mom's been divorced 4 times, and we swore we would never get divorced. Big time. I went to a counselor for almost 4 years. I lost 55 pounds. I was medicated pretty good for probably almost 4 years. I couldn't sleep, didn't eat, started drinking. I was a basket case. My kids were older. Well, they were all, when we got divorced, they were out of the house. They never knew what happened until their mother decided to tell them one Easter Sunday that they thought it was just that we were fighting and got divorced. Then she had told them that she'd been having an affair for quite a few years on me. My youngest son, he talked with me because I didn't know the kids knew what about the affair. My daughter decided she didn't want to talk to her mom anymore. I convinced her she needed to still talk to her mom. She was still her mom no matter whatever happened between us. They still love their mother, but they have zero respect for her, and they rely on me a hell of a lot more, heavier than they do her anymore. They were worried about me. Yeah, it's harder. They didn't know really what was going on with me at the time.
Don't cry, you're gonna make me cry.
The divorce didn't seem like it bothered them. How I was acting bothered them more. My daughter actually called her aunt, and her aunt called me and talked me off the ledge a couple times. Well, part of the divorce was when we were going through the divorce, I also found out my wife hadn't paid employee taxes for 11 years, and I was going through a major Internal Revenue Service audit. I did refinance, back on her feet, and I think I'm in better shape now than I've been in a long time.
People don't try as hard. There's so many reasons. There are so many reasons, and there's so many variables. It doesn't all have to do with cheating why divorces happen. So it isn't all that there's a partner who's cheating. It could be for many reasons: drug use, gambling, physical abuse, mental abuse. There's so many other factors. But in our case, I think lack of communication, lack of trying, working hard. Being married is tough. It's saying you're going to be with somebody forever, even when that person changes. And you have to learn how to adapt. And it's a reciprocal thing. I know I've said this to you many, many times. To be in a relationship with somebody where you're getting something from them as well. Your father was never really reciprocal to me. I made it work all on my own. There wasn't a lot of, and yet I didn't cheat. I can't figure that out, but I made it easy for him, I think, to do so because he never felt that connection. I never demanded things from him as far as, a home life and helping take care of you kids. And maybe if I had, he would have felt more connection. And that goes for women too. That can happen for women, not feeling connected in a family. It's supposed to be a unit, and people are supposed to work hard at it. I think people give up too easy, and society makes it easy for us to cheat, or any of those things can happen, like drugs and things like that. Society makes it easy. Frankly, people just don't put in the hard work. It's a forever thing. It isn't, when times get rough or you feel, lonely, or then you talk to your partner and you either make it work, you understand one another, you listen to one another, you hear each other, or you go for help. You go for couples counseling. You have to be willing to do anything to make your marriage work, not throw your hands up and give up.